All right, so we've got, children's story, and then these like really big metaphysical concepts, and I'm wondering how could they possibly connect?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question, isn't it? And that's exactly what we're going to try to unpack today.
Right, we're diving deep into the wonderful Wizard of Oz, and we're
hmm
putting it like side by side with the teachings from the Law of One,
All based on the amazing sources, you folks sent our way.
and it's this classic tale, Wizard of Oz, but can actually give us like a new perspective.
On some really profound ideas,
Yeah,
yeah, about
I mean,
reality.
who would have thought?
Right, exactly.
So let's find out together, right?
Sounds good.
So, for this deep dive, we've got key passages from Baum's book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. We're zeroing in on Dorothy's adventures.
Right, the characters. She meets the whole journey,
And then we've got selections from those 5 books of the Law of One material.
which, as you know, is all about those like channeled conversations, exploring, those universal
The
principles.
big stuff.
Yeah, the big stuff, exactly.
So our mission, as always, is to kind of see what happens when we bring these two worlds together.
Like what kind of sparks fly.
Yeah, like could there be these like aha moments that connect these ideas?
And give you, our listener, a new way of looking at things.
And we want to do that while, respecting your time, of course.
Right, of course, making sure it's clear, insightful knowledge.
So that being said, this is like a huge question, right? Could Dorothy's journey through Oz,
Filled with all those, you know, witches and talking animals.
yeah, could it actually reflect a deeper understanding of how we seek meaning?
In this reality, this crazy thing we call life.
Yeah, like how we navigate it all.
Yeah.
Let's just jump right in.
Okay, let's do it.
So first off, we have Dorothy's journey,
Yeah.
and her life changes dramatically when she's like swept away from Kansas,
See
right?
this vibrant and strange land of Oz.
And the Law of One talks about humanity, seeking outside their illusion.
hmm
So is Dorothy's relocation to Oz like a metaphor for this seek,
That's a really interesting way to look at it.
like this dissatisfaction with everyday reality, leading to this unexpected push?
Right, rather than a conscious pull like the Law of One mentions.
Yeah, it's like she's thrown into this new reality.
And what's interesting is that feeling of being uprooted, right?
Yeah.
From what
Yeah.
the Law of One, it emphasizes that our normal everyday existence.
Right.
It's kind of like a constructed experience, this
Mhm.
illusion, shaped by our collective consciousness.
It's like we create the reality that we live in.
In a way, yeah. And so Dorothy's sudden journey to Oz, it could symbolize that first step out of those familiar confines.
Even though it wasn't like her choice.
Exactly. It wasn't a conscious decision.
Yeah, she's just thrown into it.
And it's not exactly a smooth transition for her, is it?
No, not at all. She's surrounded by the Munchkins who are, quite different from her.
And the text even mentions she felt lonely among them.
Yeah, isolated. And that sense of disorientation, being in a place where the rules are different. It's like, it reminds me of what the Law of One says about high strangeness.
High strangeness, yes.
It's like stepping outside the box and things just feel so surreal.
It's that feeling of isolation,
Yeah.
of encountering something utterly unfamiliar
Yeah.
when you venture beyond the established ways of seeing the world.
Like the world's been turned upside down.
Exactly. And this high strangeness, it's a term used a lot in the context of, unexplained phenomena.
Right. Which the Law of One does talk about a bit.
It does, and it really underscores that these authentic encounters with the unknown,
Right.
they often bring this deep sense of otherness.
You're not in Kansas anymore.
No, you're not, and it disrupts all your expectations.
Yeah. And Dorothy, even though this is a fictional story,
Right.
it's like she's mirroring that on a symbolic level.
Exactly.
So, okay, she has a goal. She wants to get to the Emerald City to see the wizard.
Because she believes he holds the key to getting her back home.
Right. And the Law of One talks about a great goal,
Of meditation and study.
which is the pursuit of understanding.
Exactly.
So could this Emerald City, this like shining destination that everyone's striving for, could it be a symbol of that understanding that Dorothy's searching for?
If we connect it back to that idea of seeking beyond illusion,
Yeah.
then the Emerald City being this symbol of understanding it becomes very compelling
It does.
because it's like the center of power
Yeah.
and knowledge in Oz.
The place to go for answers.
Exactly. And just like people on a spiritual path
They're seeking a deeper understanding.
of themselves and the universe.
And that's what Dorothy's doing.
She's trying to understand how to get back to her reality,
Back to what's familiar.
to what she knows.
And along the way, she meets these iconic characters.
The Scarecrow, the Tin Woodman, the Cowardly Lion.
And what's so interesting is that they each feel like they're lacking something.
A brain, a heart courage.
Like these really fundamental things.
Right, and the Law of One talks about our current realm of experience as this third density.
Right.
A place where we're identifying and working through what it calls distortions.
And learning and teaching.
Exactly.
So could these characters be like different facets of the self?
Each one trying to, fill a void.
Yeah, like striving for balance or wholeness.
Within this third density experience.
Yeah, like within this reality that we're all in.
That's a really fascinating idea.
I mean, it's like each companion embodies a core human desire.
Intellect, emotion, will.
Yeah.
And within the Law of One framework,
Yeah.
these could be seen as those fundamental energy centers.
In the mind-body-spirit complex.
Exactly. And they might be experiencing some blockages or distortions.
Just because of being in this third density experience.
Right.
So their journey to Oz, in that sense, it becomes this allegorical quest
Oh, wow.
for reclaiming these vital aspects of themselves. That's deep.
To become more balanced
Yeah.
and whole.
Yeah, and it totally aligns with what the Law of One says about understanding and, moving past these distortions.
Transforming them, yeah.
So their journey isn't exactly a walk in the park, right?
No, they face all sorts of challenges.
Like the Wicked Witch of the West?
Right. She wants to enslave anyone who crosses her path.
A very formidable foe.
Yeah, and the Law of One talks about the Orion group.
Right.
And their purpose is conquest and enslavement of those who aren't aligned with them.
So could the Wicked Witch and her, desire to rule be a manifestation of those negative forces?
That the Law of One talks about.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting parallel.
Right.
I mean, the Wicked Witch's intention is so clear.
To control.
Dominate.
To enslave.
And that definitely resonates with the Orion group's agenda.
Yeah, it's all about control and preventing others from, growing.
And evolving.
And the Law of One even contrasts this with the Confederation.
Right, who believe in non-interference.
They wait to be called.
They don't just jump in and control things.
And it's interesting, Dorothy's actually got some protection, right?
The good witch's kiss on her forehead.
Yeah, it's supposed to ward off harm.
Like a shield.
Yeah, and the Law of One talks about those Confederation entities sending love and light.
To those who call upon them.
It's like pure energy.
Not as a thought, but like a transmission of love.
Yeah, so could this kiss represent like that kind of benevolent protection?
Or an energetic alignment with these positive forces.
Yeah.
I love that connection.
It's beautiful, right?
It is, because that kiss,
Yeah.
it's like a symbol of higher dimensional support or energetic alignment.
Like it's helping her on her journey.
Protecting her as she moves through this challenging world.
It's like she's got a guardian angel.
In a way.
And speaking of challenges, they go through this dark forest.
Filled with hidden dangers.
Which sounds pretty terrifying if you ask me.
It does, and it mirrors the Law of One's description of third density as this confusing ocean of experience.
Yeah, we're all just kind of swimming around in it.
Trying to navigate.
And the companions offer different kinds of support. Like the Tin Woodman has his oil can.
You can maintain himself.
Yeah, and the Scarecrow is made of straw, so he's like impervious to harm.
Right? He's got that resilience.
So are these like different resources that we can draw upon?
As we go through our own lives.
Our own ocean of experience.
Exactly. Those different strengths.
Yeah.
The Tin Woodman's practicality, the Scarecrow's resilience.
Those are the kinds of things we need.
To navigate the challenges we face.
And then there's that poppy field.
Oh, yeah.
So deadly, it puts them all to sleep.
It's a huge obstacle for them.
And it feels like such a strong metaphor for distractions.
Or states of unawareness.
That can just stop us in our tracks.
Hinder our progress.
Yeah, and the Scarecrow's head is stuffed with straw.
Right.
So he can't think straight.
Such a vivid image of mental blockage.
Isn't it?
It is. It's like that mental clutter or lack of clarity that just blocks understanding.
And prevents us from moving forward.
Exactly. And the Law of One really emphasizes mental discipline.
Yeah.
And focused intention in this third density experience.
We need that focus.
We do.
So let's talk about the characters themselves and how they change.
Okay.
So the Tin Woodman, he tells this story about losing his body parts.
And replacing them with tin.
Because of the Wicked Witch.
Yeah.
So it's like he's losing his natural self
And becoming more artificial.
under this negative influence.
And that resonates with the law of one's concept of mind, body, spirit, complex distortions.
Doesn't it?
It really does.
It's like how those external
The
forces
fluid experiences
can lead us away from who we truly are.
create imbalances, you
Yeah.
know? Hinder the natural flow of energy.
And then there's the Cowardly Lion.
He just wants courage.
Yeah, from the wizard.
He wants someone to give it to him.
So he's seeking an external solution.
For an internal problem.
And the wizard's like, okay, but first you have to kill the Wicked Witch.
It's a big obstacle.
A huge challenge.
But it's also symbolic
Of what?
of the internal challenges we have to face to achieve true inner strength.
To overcome our fears.
Exactly.
And then we have this big reveal about the Emerald City.
It's not actually green.
It just looks that way because everyone's wearing green glasses.
And Oz himself, he admits to creating this illusion.
Yeah.
He's isolated himself in his palace.
Not really connecting with anyone.
And it's such a powerful idea about perception.
An illusion.
And it directly mirrors the law of one's concept of the veil.
That limits our awareness of higher realities.
That's exactly
And
it.
Oz being isolated behind this facade.
It's like those invisible inner planes
That the Law of One talks about.
where beings are divided, you know, in this artificial dream within a dream.
So many layers.
It's wild, isn't it?
It is. It is. So the green spectacles,
They show us that reality is constructed.
at least in the Emerald City.
Right.
But it's like an analogy for the veiling process in our reality.
Exactly.
Like what we think is real is shaped by our beliefs.
Our perceptions are filtered.
And Oz isolating himself. Like those different levels of awareness.
Where beings exist in their own subjective realities.
Each with their own spectacles.
Yeah, their own filters.
Wow.
It's fascinating.
So as we're connecting these dots with the Law of One,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the concept of harvest.
The graduation to a higher density?
Based on whether we're service to others or service to self.
Right.
So could the character's journey to Oz and their interactions with the wizard be like their own personal harvest?
Their own growth and realization.
Like a self-assessment.
Leading to transformation.
Yeah. And even though the story doesn't talk about densities or cycles, the characters are definitely on a journey of self-discovery.
They're facing trials and they're changing.
And it's like they're realizing their inherent qualities.
Rather than needing external validation.
And the Law of One also talks about balancing the energy centers.
Right. The 7 energy centers.
And we see that with the Scarecrow needing a brain.
The mental center.
The Tin Woodman needing a heart.
A heart center.
The Lion needing courage.
The will center.
So is this collective quest for these qualities like a metaphorical representation of balancing those energy centers?
Which the Law of One says is so vital.
Yeah, for spiritual growth.
Exactly. And the Law of One teaches that a balanced person has all these energy centers.
Working in harmony.
Yeah.
So the Scarecrow's desire for intellect.
It's like activating the mental center.
And the Tin Woodman yearning for emotion.
It's a heart center opening.
And the Lion needing courage.
That's the empowerment of the will center.
And then there's Dorothy.
She's the outsider.
In this strange land.
And the Law of One talks about wanderers.
Those higher density beings who come to Earth to help.
But they forget who they are.
So could Dorothy be like a wanderer?
She doesn't quite fit in.
And maybe she has a deeper purpose.
That's an interesting perspective.
It is.
I mean, she's displaced.
Yeah.
She feels different.
She wants to go home.
It could be a subtle echo of that wanderer concept.
Even though she's not explicitly here to serve.
Right.
But she does act as a catalyst for change.
She does. And her leaving suggests she's just passing through.
It's a loose connection.
But it's still fascinating to think about.
Yeah, it is. It is. But of course, we have to acknowledge that The Wizard of Oz is fiction.
It's a story.
With its own logic.
And allegory.
So we shouldn't expect it to perfectly match the Law of One.
Right. We can't force those connections.
Because the Law of One is this complex philosophical system.
With specific terminology.
And we can find parallels.
But we have to be careful not to oversimplify things.
And the Law of One really stresses free will.
That each being can choose its path.
But Dorothy, in the beginning at least, she's reacting to events.
And following the wizard's instructions.
It's like she's not making her own choices.
Which is different from the Law of One's emphasis on individual agency.
So there's that distinction.
But as the story goes on,
yeah,
Dorothy starts to become more proactive.
She starts making decisions.
It's like she's gaining that inner agency.
So as we wrap up this deep dive
into Oz and the Law of One,
it's been amazing to see these connections
between Dorothy's quest
and the Law of One's ideas about illusion and challenges and perception.
And balance.
And the characters and their needs.
They connect so well with those energy centers.
It's like this children's story in this metaphysical text.
Are both exploring these really deep truths.
About our existence.
About our search for meaning.
It's like even simple stories can touch upon profound ideas.
And that's what's so amazing about it.
It is. So we'll leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
If Dorothy's journey reflects our own spiritual seeking, what are the emerald cities we're trying to reach?
What wicked witches are we facing?
What poppy fields are distracting us?
And what spectacles are we wearing?
That are shaping how we see the world.
It's something to think about.
It really is.
It really is.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
See you then.